I just spent $3,000 for my daughter to meet the designer of her dreams, and we were about to lose it all. Now, the designer doesn't charge $3,000 to meet her, of course, but she announced she was having a pop-up shop. It was just kind of like a last-minute thing that I realized was going on. I had to grab 2 round-trip tickets to New York City, plus 2 nights hotel because of the schedule of the train, and it needed to be in a nice area for safety's sake. But hey, we were making dreams come true. Plus, this was also the tail end of New York Bridal Fashion Week, so I kind of needed to be on the scene anyways, and I have been long overdue of giving you guys a tour of the garment district. So all in all, I felt good about the trip until we made some logistical missteps. On top of all of this, I was not just in pursuit of one designer. I was in pursuit to answer a question that I feel is fundamental to the series that we're doing right now about how you design your own collection. I want to know, what is a designer? Nothing could have prepared me for how perfectly this question was going to be answered this week. We received a quote from the amazing fashion educator, Zoe Hong.
Hey, party people.
Her definition really encapsulated everything that I learned firsthand on this trip. She said, "I will say that the difference between clothes makers and designers are that designers should have a vision and a point of view." Hold on to that thought for a moment. Remember, I have not been to NYC since before COVID, fall of 2019, so I wasn't sure if cab culture was the same. This was important because our train was running over an hour behind at this point. Instead of arriving 3 hours before the close of the store, we would only, at best case, have an hour and a half. So I asked the passenger beside me if people still hailed cabs, or did I need to schedule one in an app. She assured me that people still hailed. It would have taken over an hour to walk there. So when we left Penn Station, we just started walking in that direction and tried to hail cabs. Well, we had some really bad advice from that train goer. Hailing was not working. I finally installed the Curb app and summoned a cab, and we were on our way, but their store was closing in about 15 minutes. We finally arrived at her flagship store in Seaport, which was marked by a life-sized floral embellished Pegasus/unicorn. This collection is full of symbolism I cannot wait to tell you about, and embodies everything I was on the hunt to define. It is a masterclass in the conception, design, and launch of a collection. Come with me inside. When I first stepped in, I was greeted by none other than Cheval herself working the floor along with her fabulous team. We arrived just 10 minutes before their advertised closing time, but they were super gracious, and they actually said they extended their hours by 2 more hours that night. So I had plenty of time to just dig in and take in all the details to bring to you. It was finally my turn to ask Cheval, "What is a designer?" She said, and I quote, "I think a designer is an architect that wants to engage through visual artistry. In my case, there is a sentimental language involved." End quote. These definitions that we have gotten about what a designer is have all included the idea of wanting to communicate something, even including the concept of a story. Cheval's story and her collection are as intrinsically intertwined as the vines in her trademark toile print. When you feel like you can't fully tell your story, you can wear your story. Symbolism and repetition can communicate when your words fail. Due to her experience as a designer, this first shoe collection of hers has clutched the holy grail of shoe design. She's launched a collection which is broad enough in variety to deliver on every shoe type, yet narrow enough to maintain a cohesive statement. She has limited her palette, yet the colors are funky and maintain a spontaneous vibe. The collection certainly does not lend itself to only one type of venue. It was smartly done. Everything had purpose and meaning. I could point to a detail and ask, "And what does this mean?" And she always had an answer. Nothing was surface deep. The flying unicorns? Of course, that was a blend of a horse. Cheval is horse in French. A unicorn has magical, fantastical attributes, and the Pegasus can fly. There's no holding her down. The nightlife at Seaport was quite active, so excuse the background music floating in from the streets. I think it's worth it, though, to hear her describe just some of the imagery that she has in this toile, which she did draw herself. I love that. Yes. And then a trampoline.
The trampoline, oh yeah, so that for me is just representative of my childhood. I was a gymnast growing up.
And then, of course, the sewing machine.
Yes.
And this is kind of like an old singer style. Yeah.
You know your stuff, obviously. Krista, who's our business partner, she was in the military for 6 years. So she's a
A
veteran.
paratrooper.
And she was a paratrooper and she used to fly helicopters.
And then the castle.
The castle, yep, the mannequins in the tallest
I
tower.
see that. The dress form.
Yeah. That's
Her
cool.
button. Oh my gosh.
Hiding in the tallest tower.
I love all your symbolism and everything. So the sister was the lava lamp.
Sisters in love.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you were sitting on the stack of books.
Yeah, stack of books, doing paintings and drawings and things. I just like story. It's more of the storytelling element actually.
Okay.
And they're like my illustration books. So we used to play Pac-Man as a kid. So those are ghosts
Yes!
of Pac-Man.
Oh my-
That can be. And then my other business partner, Elise, who's my ride or die. She's Christian, so I put a cross in there for her. For faith.
What does that say? CLC.
Conrad Lewis Cleveland. That's my name.
And is this the Cheshire
My
Cat?
mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was probably half of our discussion of the symbolism in her collection. I invite you to explore it further on her website. This is not sponsored, by the way. I hope this launch has helped to distill your answer to the question, what is a designer? I'm so glad that we don't have to be afraid to speak her name. She is Cheval.